records the meetings, or is everybody recording meetings?
They're all supposed to be recorded until we choose not,
Okay.
until the board says
Okay.
keep
I was
going.
thinking about that on the way here. Everyone was.
Yeah, we haven't recorded the adoption ones. We posted them.
Oh, seriously? All of them are supposed to be recorded. Okay, learn something new every day.
Nope.
So if we can start, that would be a cool thing. That way people won't yell at us.
Myself.
Where's the number? Oh, the drive thing.
Do you want me to start?
Please.
Okay, so we left off with student clubs. The draft is included in here. There was some follow-up tasks that you guys asked me to do. So the first one, 22-23 student club participation. So you asked me to get a list of how many students were actually in those clubs.
Right.
Nope, right there, right where it says Bud Hadley. Yep. So I only pull the active ones that actually have active members in there. We have other approved clubs, but just students aren't decided not to participate this year. So it's just the ones that actually have members. So then the S behind each of them means sponsored, and if it says NS, it means non-sponsored, because you wanted to know the difference between the two.
Okay.
So all of Timberlake's are sponsored. Lakeland High School only has two non-sponsored, which is aviation and the anime club.
Okay.
So, and then theater is a sponsored one because it's attached to the drama.
Okay, and the speech team should be sponsored?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're attached to the class.
Okay.
They're technically not even sponsored. They're just attached to a class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did that for you, and then the other follow-up piece that we talked about, if you go back to December, Rosanna, I'm sorry. There was a little part in the policy that's specific to the money. There isn't any money collection of any kind happening, but if there was, then it would follow the same way that we do with gate money, with sports money. It goes through the school, the principal signs off on that, and the treasurer does their thing. And then Rosanna sent out the stakeholder input, so that's the last piece. So if we want to spend some time, Rosanna, did you print that for?
I didn't print it, no.
Okay. So if you guys have access to see it, I'll pull it up so Jacqueline, you can look at it with me. Nate, do you want to come over here and sit?
I mean, I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dee, do you want to come sit over here and I can? Okay, you're good.
Or I can look off.
We can share. I'm more than willing to share.
Thank you.
Really useful.
No, that one's pretty interesting.
Rosanna, was there any parents that wanted us to follow up with them?
Well, I did reach out. I sent an email to one
This
person.
Okay.
And I think
That's
that
it?
was it. Yeah.
But we said there's not going to be any non-sponsored.
Correct. The policy includes groups of this section regarding sponsored groups shown.
Oh, I guess maybe they're thinking that there's religious and political sponsored clubs. They don't understand that there's not
Right.
any of those. So maybe do you think that the policy needs to just reflect that the district does not sponsor clubs of religious affiliation and political affiliation, etc.?
You could put that in there.
Just
What do you think, Ramona?
CYA.
Well, I think the statement should be that the school just doesn't sponsor clubs. I missed that meeting, so what is the goal of,
cause the district can't take a stance in these type of,
Right. We state under C, sponsored club shall mean a club which is directly under the sponsorship, direction, and control of the school. Clubs are restricted to subjects offered at the school, supported by the school, and directed by school staff.
Oh, I see, okay, so I see the sponsored club definition.
And then we say the school within the district shall provide equal access and fair opportunity for sponsored clubs to organize and to meet on school premises during the times established for such meetings.
Okay, and then can we go back to the person's, comment?
I just think they're probably referencing the fact that in the past we've had non-sponsored clubs that fit that, and so that's what they're referencing.
okay, so then that's
Well,
just a
and
misunderstanding.
It does state the district shall not sponsor clubs which advocate particular religious or political
Oh, yeah,
beliefs or
okay,
ideas.
so they didn't read it.
And it says clubs are restricted to subjects offered at the school, supported by the school, and directed by school staff, so.
Do we send both drafts out? Do we, when we send when the district sends the email out? Sorry if I say we, cause I get into this work mode of
Yeah,
we.
you are
We are
we are
So, does the email, I'm pretty sure you showed the old draft, I wonder if they just confused the two.
Yeah, that's kind of gone through a process. We originally started with actually showing the markups, but then that was really confusing. I tried to send a code with it so that there was kind of a, they understood what it meant, a legend with it. That didn't work, and so we just, for probably 8 months now, we've stuck to the old and the new draft, so that people can just put it side by side.
Yeah, I think this person just, maybe got confused and then thought policies and elections would be a great school club. Yeah, no, I think that's just something that needs to be covered in social studies and civics, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure this parent's going, I'd love to see a young Republicans club or something to that, cause you have those in high school, college. And some high schools do have those. Oh, because, depending on the parent, like I know, Charlie Kirk's little group, they go down to the high school level, don't they?
Turning Point.
Yeah. I don't know, cause I'm not that, I just think, I think they have like high school kids participating in that, I thought, a little bit.
Well, this one really long
Yeah.
one.
The only other one that was kind of negative was like, clubs are a great way, we wanted to sponsor, well, there's like quite a bit of sponsored clubs, so they are a great way.
And
to
again, this
take a
doesn't
sponsored club.
include like all of the activities attached to classes.
That really long one.
This one right here.
Well, what's really interesting is the last statement made is I ask that you continue to allow our kids to exercise their voices, creatively organize as groups, remain safe,
Right.
and supervised after hours, and find their place of belonging at our schools, which, I mean, that's what we're doing, but to keep everyone safe, it has to be sponsored activities because that's the only way that, you know, you can't have just anybody teaching anything and the school has no knowledge.
Right, we were actually just sort of quietly talking amongst ourselves, kind of the same thing,
Oh,
that there's
okay.
still lots of options out
Right,
there, there's
right.
sponsored options.
Right.
So, you know, what's the process of getting a sponsored club?
From 3 months ago or now?
Well, so like this person is saying that my daughter would love a dance club, would love this,
So
would
to
love
have
that.
in the past, so probably at some point last year, prior to last year, if you wanted a club, then the stipulation is if a teacher wants to start one, they can. If a student wanted to start one, you could. Last year, we started a process where, they had to fill out an application, it came to the board had to approve it. So now that's the process that again, the difference between sponsored and non-sponsored was student initiated versus teacher initiated, so, but both had to fill out an application that had to come to the board for approval.
Could a student work with a teacher? And I just think of the dance team, cause I think, you know, dance team goes with like the sports and all that stuff. Students have the ability to work with a teacher or set of teachers to advocate on their behalf, to think about starting a club that could go to sponsor approval.
They could, but we put the caveat that it has to be,
Teacher driven.
and also has to be attached to some curricular.
Yeah.
But you could, I mean, you could say that's PE, I mean, they teach a dance unit, and so, I mean, I, like, in a lot
Gardening
of
club could
middle
be
schools
to
and high schools, they have a
science.
modern dance class, and so, you know.
Yeah, I think there's still flexibility even amongst the sponsored clubs, they just have to have some kind of relation to the curriculum.
Actually, I think that's a great pushback on this parent. It'd be a great exercise for your child to do the research and come up with the evidence of aligning the club activities to a subject area in the school.
Right.
Cause you can do it, trust me, it's there, it's all in the standards, I guarantee it. I know the standards really well.
Okay, backtracking, what did you say about the funds? I was listening, but.
It's the same process if it was gonna be gate money, if it was gonna be a football, it's the same process that we do with all incoming money to the schools. They're not collecting any, so I'm not really sure why that's in there or why we need it, but if they were going to, it would go to the bookkeeper. The same, they'd start a line item, that money would go in that little line item specific to whatever that was raised. Multiple eyes on it. Both principal and bookkeeper both have to sign off on it, the money is used for something, so it's the same as a sport.
Okay, so we're not putting it in the student body account, we would be putting it into an account specific to that club? Okay, then I wanted to say that, because this looks like it just
But
falls
they're not
into
really
the-
collecting, they didn't have any that they couldn't give me a scenario where that happens, so,
Okay.
but it would follow that same practice, they said.
Okay. This is gonna be turned into a school office. All clubs must turn into the school office, all funds collected.
The ISBA one has, language on funds to show.
Okay.
Why do we have a funky space?
Where?
In the draft that I'm looking at, mine is a weird space.
Oh yeah, mine did too. I don't know.
But it didn't have that before, did it? I remember that.
I'm just, and this isn't a doc X, so we're good.
On the
Dream
draft,
Agenda Club.
Right there. It wasn't like that before. I don't know, it's weird.
be turned into? All funds? I think we're missing a word there.
You are correct. Thank you. I just want very clear that their money is, if,
So we don't have this whole, it's muddying the water and it's
Correct.
just put in a random account and then used for,
right. Other than that, I think we're good to go.
so we actually might be on our timeline.
No, we're not, we're over.
No, we started late.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay,
All
we're
I
moving
needed
on
was
to the
mine.
next one.
Perfect.
So, controversial issues in academics. So, I don't know, we brought this up not because we felt like we needed to change the policy. The last time we looked at it was 2021, so September of 2021. What we didn't finish was the parental option form for sex education.
Right.
That's what we wanted to tweak, and it looks like we started working on it and maybe got close to being finished. So, do we wanna look at both, just focus on the parental option form?
I didn't know we had a policy in place for controversial issues already. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, we, it was approved, last approved in 2021.
So we're not necessarily editing this at all though, we're just looking at the other adjacent form, or?
Anything that we you guys are feeling like we need to do? Just for chapter.
I think the form looks good to me.
The form or the policy?
The form, I'm not read the policy.
You hadn't read the policy, did you?
Nope.
Okay, that's what she's saying.
I don't think we had one before, I think this is adopted, so we can, to my knowledge, have one prior to.
We didn't. When was our 2024 update? September. ISBA has recommendations of an update from October of 21.
You have our ISBA up,
Yes, I actually have a draft created in the folder that has the updates and our current policy merged.
Is it this one right here?
It's this one right here, yeah. It's entitled draft. So the blue is the ISBA language, the black is Lakeland or combined.
Okay, I don't agree with the parent having to
Provide a
explain
rating.
the conference, that's none of the district's business.
Which part are you at?
Number 2,
On page 204 at the bottom.
you're moving over to page 3 at the top. That's the ISBA's language in blue, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
Oh, well, and I don't believe we have that in our actual policy.
Okay.
Cause that was something
Yeah,
that
'cause
we
that's
were like,
extra.
yeah, no, nobody needs to explain.
I think we actually removed that before.
So was the one with the blue in it, the original, that, and then 2340 is, without the blue was what
the
got
current.
landed on? Like you guys have seen the blue stuff before is what I'm
Okay.
No, this
Oh,
is,
okay, this is new.
this is
I
new
didn't see
stuff,
any of the new.
but I don't know where there's a line, because
That's their own, yeah, they have their own.
so they lined their own document,
Yes.
okay. And the black is Lakeland's language,
Yes,
why is the highlight on there?
because
Is that something we added in?
that's something, yes, that
Okay.
we added.
Alright, let's try and understand.
Yes, cause this is the one I read today on my computer, I just didn't print it out.
Okay,
But it didn't pop up as blue.
And this form is something we're working on, right?
we worked on this, it was never
Yeah.
brought to the board, and it was never approved, so we haven't been using it.
Okay, yeah, cause it's all wrong.
Okay.
I won't, I mean, this is,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I thought we did work on this, but, I don't remember this being it. Anyways, okay. Yeah, because we even discussed the whole AIDS awareness thing, and that was part of some of the other language that we struck because it was sort of outdated.
Would it
Right.
be somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, not that AIDS is outdated, that's for sure.
But the focus on AIDS
Yeah.
is not.
Yep. Yeah, the whole general human sexuality, or, yeah, I don't know. Over and beyond the statute.
This is the only form in the drafts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine, we'll have to.
Their blue 4 is causing me to chuckle.
one of the questions I had on the 2340, the actual policy, number 6 says when speakers are to be used, the principal must give approval as outlined in the board policy on controversial speakers. Does that not go through the supplemental curriculum?
The speakers.
Speakers.
If there's curriculum, yes, but if it's just a speaker, the principal has to give approval. But if there's curriculum attached to it, yes.
Why do the speakers not go through the curriculum approval? I mean,
It's just not something we've done.
because wasn't that where there was a problem
It was the
recently
curriculum.
with the speaker coming in and
Yep. Let's see where it says what that process is. Yeah, speakers in the classroom and at school functions. This is what it says.
so speakers only require school principal's approval.
You're not bringing in materials.
I read this several times. Am I reading this wrong?
The blue on page, 2340, page 304, number
They
4.
can't just randomly.
It says the board, the blue part, the board directs that a philosophy of abstinence shall be a part of the underlying principle in all sex education instruction. However, it is recognized that this alone may not prevent pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases.
I mean, it's only 19.
What?
Yes, I've been rereading that.
It is Christmas time.
That is wrong.
Right,
Right.
you never know.
So we made all the principals sign up.
I can't believe they sent this out. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why we have to read everything they write.
This is ridiculous.
They did that on purpose. That is so purposefully done, it's not even funny. You can tell it was done that way on purpose.
Well, you have to remember multiple people without, it's like I hand it to Rosanna, and Rosanna a few weeks later hands it to her, to him, and all these people just go through and write whatever, and then it goes out the door.
Or so ISBA doesn't look at it before it goes out the door. So
I
people
don't
are
think
putting
they-
in their own.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are supposed to be, you know, through attorneys or whatever, and we have found some that are very evident that several attorneys wrote it.
Some
You know.
different attorneys
Yeah.
with unique writing styles.
Yeah, and font.
Do we have
You're fine.
a controversial, oh yeah.
Where's the abortion law
45.
stand in Idaho?
Yeah, none of that can be taught
It's
in
in flux
school.
in Idaho
Here's the
right now,
thing,
isn't it?
is if you look up, if you look up the statute, that's been my argument, that's why I don't like the
Yeah,
sport.
we have
The
speakers
statute
in the classroom
specifically
and school
states
function, it's 23:45.
That the school shall not
but
teach anything other
We don't
than
have anything
to, reinforce the
specific
home
to the
and the
P
church.
that was listed
That's
there.
what the statute says. You cannot teach any of these things, however,
The statute on the books that I
We don't
know.
have
Absolutely.
a 45P that I can.
however,
Let
the
me check if
standard,
there's something
the health
historical that
standard
we just
does
never
leave
been
some
uploaded.
extremely explicitly broad language
That
when it
rigorous.
comes to the, some of this.
There is
So you could argue there's some, but all
Yeah,
this
it just
wording,
never got
AIDS,
uploaded.
all this explicit thing, abortion, all that,
so
It is
that
nowhere
was
in
before
the
my
law.
time.
I believe you. No, you don't need to defend yourself, I get it.
And I think that,
We
my
have one,
opinion,
but I
and
feel like
according to
we're
the
gonna
law says
finalize
it should
this
all be
week
left
for
to
these
the
two.
parent, the household.
You want me to link it in at the bottom?
See, this is why I
Just
like
this
you,
one
Ramona.
draft.
Yes, please.
Please run again.
I mean, I understand we have households where unfortunately children don't get that type of instruction, or maybe they don't have that relationship, but
I just think today.
we can't continually base the norm
I kind of struggle
on
with,
that.
if we're gonna say 23:45, we should
Agreed.
say 23:45, like we shouldn't have the procedure and not the policy.
Right,
Yeah,
because there is a procedure for controversial speakers.
right, cannot.
So you just put it in the folder?
It's in the folder, but I linked it on the actual 2340 doc.
Oh,
At the very
gotcha.
cross-reference part where it says 2345P, I just linked the actual procedures in there. But I feel like 2345, the actual policy should be in here too.
Because they have a on their 2345, they have speakers in the classroom and at school functions.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also have, oh wait, no, that's what we have.
That's ours.
Forgive me.
Uh-huh.
And then, let me see, 2345. Well, they have speaker in the classroom and at school function. And they also have a 2345P, which is controversial speaker procedure. So we do need to get that adopted, all of it.
So am I linking this into 2340 just so you have the policy? No?
No, because 2345 is correct for controversial speakers.
I'm just saying down here in our
Oh, on the
approved-
policy, yes, yes, yes.
On the 2340 policy, making
Yes.
those live so they reference, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so where is, there's the form. Okay, I get so many things open and I have no clue what. Okay, so we could probably cruise through 2340. And I'd love to hear everyone's input before we jump to that then. So you tell me what we want gone off of the blue one.
I think we can get rid of the immaculate conception part.
Oh, come on, that could, let's see.
Where was that one? I remember.
That's under number
Page
4.
3, number
Yeah.
4.
It says,
This alone may not prevent pregnancies. Okay.
Abstinence.
Oh. That's funny.
So is the draft that we're working off of the blue version?
yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna add this into the blue version. You know what I mean? The ISBA version.
Yes, yes, yes.
Nope.
And then number.
Okay, the first, I was just gonna go, okay,
No, go ahead.
the front. Dignity, and acknowledges the rights of others to express differing opinions and foster and defend intellectual honesty, freedom, and inquiry. Rights appropriate to the educational. Okay, is that paragraph necessary?
I crossed it out. I didn't think it was necessary.
Are we looking at page 3, number 4?
I mean,
We're actually on page
it's
1.
It's
Oh,
a
okay.
feel good paragraph, but it's not necessary.
I can just see it being also like abused. I'm very cynical.
Well,
like
the
something that
instruction
ChatGPT wrote?
piece, that could lead teachers down the road of, oh, I don't need to get my instruction approved, I'm just gonna instruct the way I feel approved.
I'm
It's
defending
freedom.
intellectual honesty.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
It is fluffy.
it is very fluffy.
We all know how I feel about fluff. What's your opinion?
I think it's fluffy.
Do you think it's necessary?
Mm-hmm.
Ramona?
Yeah, I would hope that that's a given understanding and then we wouldn't have to put it in policy. I mean, I think that's sort of the premise of education, isn't it?
Or you could take out everything after they respect the dignity and acknowledge the rights of others, and done. And then take out all the other stuff. If you wanted to keep that in there as a feel good, because that's what it is, it's a feel good paragraph.
Yeah, I'm fine taking it out. We're talking about controversial issues and academic freedom.
So So you're good with taking it out?
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's my opinion, I think the paragraph before it pretty much
Right.
states
Yeah.
the same thing.
I feel like now it's just a semantics game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanna check everybody's box.
Mhm.
Right.
It's just saying it in a different way. Yeah. Or not necessarily be limited to. Doesn't sound accurate.
Yeah.
I could leave in the but are not limited to, but just saying it may include these means it may include other things as well.
Well, usually you say issues may include but not limited to.
Correct.
Yeah, you don't put in necessarily.
No, I get it, but it's like,
Yeah, it's all fluff.
we've all been told, well, less pages means more to people reading them, so.
Definitely true.
I mean, do we even have to state that? What, politics, science, health and sex education, values and ethics? And the only reason I say that is because the laundry list could go on forever and if it changes with the times and, you know.
Because it is kind of
Yeah.
subjective to the beholder of whatever
Right,
our
when it
view
is controversial or it's not controversial.
Yeah, good point.
That's kind of ambiguous.
So we take it all out?
Good.
Yeah, 'cause I think, remember we even had a discussion one time about, t-shirts and things on kids' t-shirts and like
Right.
how much were we gonna regulate that? What was
Right.
controversial to one person was not to the other.
Right. Well, and we're of the nature now where my truth is my truth, so then anything could be controversial. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see the necessity to list them, but that's just my take on it.
Does anybody else have an opinion on that?
I
Listing them?
agree with Ramona, just keep it simple.
Yep.
Teachers shall guide discussions and procedures with thoroughness and objectivity to acquaint students with the need to recognize opposing viewpoints, the importance of fact, the value of good judgment, and the virtue of respect for conflicting opinions.
No, don't we need that one today?
The importance of actual facts.
I was just about to say facts, what's a fact?
Facts have become subjective, you know.
Define
They're not
fact.
objective.
Define facts.
It's like my opinion,
I
but
think it
not
changed, I
different
think
at
the
all.
definition changed.
So if it's on social
Yell it
media,
at
it's
you.
not fact.
Oh, I don't have social media that
The importance of objective facts.
If it's on Facebook or Google.
I mean, I'm fine with leaving it just fact because I don't think it's appropriate that the world has taken over language, you know, so
Mhm.
facts are facts, it's fine. But it's.
If you find it on TikTok, it's true.
Right.
That is true. Our language is
Does the board encourage and support the concept of academic freedom, or do we just acknowledge that academic freedom exists?
What does that mean at like a high school level? I know what it means at college level, I feel like I don't really know what it means at,
What, academic freedom?
right?
Well, so that, you know, that's a great point, because
The concept of such a thing.
if I were a teacher with an agenda, I would take that and utilize it to my, to the full extent that that statement will allow me to.
Right? Yeah, it's very broad, like,
It's very ambiguous, and so, you know, if I wanna come in and, I'm just gonna put it out there, I'm gonna bring a drag queen story hour into my classroom, that's academic freedom.
Can we strike it? I have no problem. Cause I don't.
Because really, they don't have freedom to teach whatever they want.
Right.
Because
No.
you got
A
rid of
university professor
I-ready
does.
ELA,
Or
that
they're
tells
supposed to
me
be able
that
to.
they don't have the
Yeah.
academic
They
freedom.
don't, they have to teach their standards.
And if you
they
wanna
have to
bring
teach
supplementals
from
in, they have to get
approved curriculum.
Right.
Yes, they do have,
Instructional strategy freedom?
well, no, and the law does give them, freedom within their classroom to control their classroom and to be, so academic freedom in that essence, but I don't think that they have, well, I've never seen anywhere where they have, cause it would be contradictory to the prior paragraph, where they would be able to do, like you're saying, teach whatever they want to teach. I guess if the concept of academic freedom, which is not defined,
Right.
was the freedom to teach, present the curriculum in the manner in which they wanted to present the curriculum, then yeah, I would agree with that, cause everybody has their own
Right.
Process
Maybe
of
something needs to-
presentation,
yeah.
right? But it's not defined, so,
Maybe something needs to be added, like in accordance with approved topics, or something like that.
cause the policy is and academic freedom, but you're right, I don't know what the definition of the concept, didn't say academic freedom itself, it says the concept of academic freedom.
But the approved
That's the-
topics are their standards,
Right, right.
and they are required to teach their standards.
Okay, we could say, supports academic freedom of presentation of approved materials or something to that effect.
Yeah. Approved materials is a good
Yeah.
qualifier.
Because that's the main thing I always hear teachers talk about is that, being able to teach the lesson,
To personalize it to
right,
those,
right,
to
to
meet
their
the students where they're
students
at.
and to deliver it in the way they teach, their own teaching style kind of thing.
They also have to differentiate for the students,
Yeah,
cause not everybody's delivery method,
right,
I mean, all kids learn different ways, so they have to have a variety of tools for
Right.
kids to access
Right.
the learning.
and I'm all for that.
Right.
And that's what I was
You know,
saying, like academic freedom as it comes to instructional strategy.
Yes.
To meet the needs of the kids.
But as far as what they teach, that's pretty laid out.
What did you say? Academic, what
She
is
said
it?
it.
Okay, what
Is
did you
it
say?
for, approved materials or approved curriculum?
Presentation of approved materials, is that what you guys said?
Oh, the presentation, yeah, of approved curriculum or materials, or however you wanna say it.
Is it curricular materials or curriculum materials?
Curriculum.
Yeah, curriculum, trust me, I get them all mixed up all the time. You should be and recognizing it as a necessary condition to maintain the environment. So is that classroom management, maintaining the environment conducive to learning?
Mm-hmm.
Well, could be lots of things, I mean, whatever that environment is. And it could be, I would think, could be things that maybe are on their walls or, the books in their classroom or.
Okay, so then following into the board also believes that academic freedom carries with it a responsibility that is shaped by the basic ideals, goals, and institutions of the local community. These standards are expressed via the goals and objectives of the adopted curriculum, by the adopted textbooks, by board policy, and by the district's mission statement.
That sounds really good.
Okay.
Did you just write that?
No, it was part of the
Yeah,
policy.
good job.
Thank you. Just flew out of my brain. in the study or discussion of controversial issues or materials. However, the board directs the teaching staff to take into account the following criteria.
I would take out the however, I think. The board directs the teaching staff, I would, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this whole, as a consequence of its responsibility to guarantee academic freedom to both student and teacher,
Yeah.
we support academic freedom as it pertains to the presentation of approved curricular materials.
Sometimes I feel like the word freedom in here with academic freedom, really what we mean is like academic protection. Freedom.
To like speak your mind? Is that what you mean?
And like, I don't know, academic freedom to me, like what sort of has been mentioned, sort of makes me a little concerned of that just opens the door for, well, I have academic freedom to
Right.
teach it this way or whatever, you know, versus if we're saying, no, we're protecting the academic standards. I don't know.
I like that.
Just a thought.
So academic freedom is a moral and legal concept, freaking concepts, expressing the conviction that the freedom of inquiry by faculty members is essential to the mission of the academy as well as the principles of academia, and that scholars should have the freedom to teach or communicate. Well, now we know what's wrong with colleges.
Right.
Why is this even
See, it's
part
specific
of
to
K-12?
faculty, and yeah, exactly, it's specific, like that definition is specific.
Oh, here we
specific
go.
to
The
secondary.
union has an opinion on academic freedom.
Which union?
AFT. The concept of academic freedom is based on the idea that the free exchange of ideas on campus is essential to good education, specifically.
Where's that from? I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
AFT.
Which is.
Well, actually, that's higher education too. American Federation of Teachers.
Yeah,
I
we
can't
don't hear
find
about
it.
any of those people.
I
They're-
can't find anything where academic freedom has anything to do with K-12.
Right.
It doesn't exist in K-12. It's all higher ed.
Well, except the ACLU in Idaho does have the K-12, and they like to put in there that they call it academic freedom and free speech rights, but all they're talking about is academic freedom. Or I mean the First Amendment.
Oh, so they're conflating academic
Yeah,
freedom with
right,
the First Amendment
right,
with free speech.
Right.
That's not.
Yep.
Waste.
Okay, so if we state, going back up, the board encourages and supports the protection of academic learning as it pertains to the presentation of approved curricular materials and recognizes it as a necessary condition to aid in maintaining an environment conducive to learning and the free exchange of ideas and information. So if we promote the protection of academic learning, we're just circling it back to it's about learning.
Mm-hmm.
So then the board believes, I hate the word that, academic protection carries with it a responsibility that is shaped by the basic ideals, goals, and institutions of the local community. These standards are expressed via the goals and objectives of the adopted curriculum, by the adopted textbooks, by the board policy, and by the district's mission statement.
Okay, so there was a bill passed, that's why the ACLU in Idaho jumped on the bandwagon. House Bill 377. The statute for it.
And it pertains to K-12 and not higher ed?
It's all of it, yeah, it does pertain to K-12 also. So
Academic freedom and academic responsibility, is that the one you're talking about? Oh no, that's the Board of Ed. That's a good place to start.
There is something in my DAPA regarding academic freedom. It's just a little tidbit. It says a professional educator ensures just and equitable treatment for all members of the profession in the exercise of academic freedom, professional rights and responsibilities while following generally recognized professional principles. Unethical conduct includes, but is not limited to blah, blah, blah.
So Idaho State Board of Education defines it as academic freedom as a long-standing philosophical, legal, and constitutional principle of freedom of speech, which I disagree, that advances the right of post-secondary students, faculty, and institutions to pursue educational opportunities that seek, examine, apply, discuss, and build knowledge, theories, values, concepts, or ideas without fear of censorship, retaliation, or threat to institutional statutes.
So post-secondary again.
House Bill
It's still
377 is specific to the
Right.
CRT bill.
right, yep, and it became 33-138, dignity and non-discrimination in public education.
Mhm.
Yep, so that is where they
It said,
were.
the prohibition regarding certain tenets, distinctions, or classification or courses of instruction or units to provide for statutory construction, amending chapter 1, title 33. And it's all specific to the tenets of CRT, that it's not allowed.
Oh, so it's not allowed?
Right.
Oh, okay.
In Idaho, in
Okay.
Idaho. It says, the Idaho legislature finds the tenets outlined in subsection of this often found in critical race undermine the objectives outlined in subsection of this section and exacerbate and inflame division on the basis of sex, race, ethnicity, religion, color, and other criterion ways to contrary to the unity of the nation and the well-being of the state of Idaho and its citizens. Constitution, no public institution, it lists all of them, can adhere to the following, are allowed to do the following tenets, so this is their CRT bill.
Where was that, the section in this that we were just discussing?
There's
I
one.
know it's this page. So this has 377, which was 33-138. Yeah, dignity and non-discrimination in public education.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I have a little concern about number 4 on page 2. Teachers will not attempt, directly or indirectly, to limit or control students' judgments concerning an issue, including but not limited to requiring students to personally affirm, adopt, or adhere that any race is inferior or superior, or on inherent responsibilities regarding sex, race, ethnicity, religion, color, or national origin, but will make certain that full and fair consideration is given to the subject and that facts are carefully examined as to their accuracy and interpretation. This shall include not arguing that individuals should be treated adversely on the basis of any of the attributes listed above.
Welcome to ISBA.
This is ridiculous.
I
Oh,
always
it's
try to
great.
do the whole thing.
I think with like the first half of that, they're trying to do what they were doing in that bill, and it sort
Right.
of reads to me like they're trying to say, we aren't gonna do CRT in here, and then the second half of it almost like
They
contradicts
slip it in.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying, like, these are very purposely written this
Yeah,
way
right.
because you don't, how people read,
Right.
you lose it in such a big paragraph and they slip that in and they go, oh, look, we've got bail around.
Right.
Mhm.
But they
Well,
don't
at the
because
other-
the bill's been passed, they can't.
Right.
I know,
Yeah,
but
it's
other
weird that they
districts
wrote it
take
like that.
advantage of this.
And the other thing is too, is that I don't want our teachers to feel like they're, walking on eggshells constantly because, somebody might misinterpret something or, maybe some little kid said something that they had nothing to do with, or, you know what I'm saying? I think we have to, weigh both sides and,
Cause that is definitely a fear.
yeah,
Well, I think the statement, teachers will not attempt directly or indirectly to limit or control students' judgment, is a fair statement.
Yep.
So let's just end it there.
you don't wanna, make certain, you don't wanna examine all the facts for their accuracy and interpretation.
Well,
What cracks me up is I heard somebody, Wikipedia used to not be allowed as a source, right?
Right, now it is. So
And it
ridiculous.
cracks me up.
Yeah.
Is
It's
anybody
a
can
waste.
edit Wikipedia? Anybody?
Well, they actually censor people from editing too.
It's like, oh my gosh, so ridiculous. I was just thinking of some of the standards that make them go get informational text or something, and used to be that they were like, nobody used Wikipedia, but now it's become the thing.
Okay, so teachers will exercise professional judgment in determining the appropriateness of the issue to the curriculum and to the age and grade level of the student.
I mean, the standards are pretty outlined and it's grade specific, so there's not a lot of deviation from those. So I don't necessarily think that that's needed.
Well, I mean, what are we empowering the
It's
teachers
a-
with?
Nothing, and it's still subjective because
Right.
Professional
the
judgment.
kite runner, I would have just soon seen leave the school district.
Right.
I don't think it's appropriate for anybody under the age of 21.
You got a good point.
But
You're
yet
right.
it's used in
Uh-huh.
10th grade or 9th grade or whatever.
It's a library book.
I mean, why even make the statement because it's so subjective to determine the appropriateness. I mean, basically if we give them the curriculum or if the board says this is what you're teaching, I don't think we would give them anything where they would, I guess that they, you would know your class and you would say, oh, I don't know if it's appropriate for these guys.
Well, I mean, there definitely are age appropriate books, but the context of maybe a situation that's happened in a classroom, like
Yeah.
you wouldn't read a book that has a death of a mom, even if it's a great story and it's a feel good story at the end, if you have a student that their mom passed away. I mean,
Right.
some of it's gonna be situational to the environment that will, that can change from year to year, depending on who your kids are
Yeah.
and what their life stories are.
Right, and I think that that's part of the academic freedom.
Right.
I think that the teachers should exercise or already are, I would hope, and I don't think by making, in my opinion, I don't think by making that statement, it's just completely subjective or not, there's no criteria, and I think, I don't know that we need it there.
Well, this paragraph that ISBA struck out, teachers will not attempt directly or indirectly to limit or control students' judgment concerning any issue, but will make certain that full and fair consideration is given to the subject and that facts are carefully examined as to their accuracy and interpretation.
Oh, that's, yeah,
It
is
should
that
be
what was
left
in there
in.
before?
Yeah, and they
ISBA
struck it
struck
out.
it out.
That's like, isn't that part of like critical thinking? Okay.
So we could get completely rid of number 4 then and just leave number 3.
Yeah, you wouldn't even need teachers
Yeah, you
one
wouldn't
and
need
10,
that,
cause it
yeah.
all kinda says that.
So they just rewrote that.
Mm-hmm. And I
Tried
think you
to.
are right, they took the bill and tried to mumbo jumbo it in there.
Yes, they do it all the time.
No distinction or classification of students shall be made on account of race or color, other than as required for collecting or reporting of demographic data required by public schools.
You know, why do we have to collect demographic data?
Yeah, I agree,
See,
yeah.
I think
It's
that's
weird.
racist. But that's just me.
Is it a controversial issue? I mean,
That's just an odd, it's not even.
I don't even know why
relative
it's
to-
there, but
I would strike it out.
It's not something that's discussed in the classroom though, right? That's like when I'm signing my kid up for school, I like check the box of his ethnicity.
Right.
to this end, the teacher shall be free to choose supplemental materials to support and enhance the regular classroom curriculum as approved by the board, except in sex education instruction, as outlined in item 4 of this section, to encourage the free flow of information and enhance student creativity. Unplanned issues may be brought up in the classroom and briefly discussed. There's 4. Sex
What's the
education.
one we took out, isn't it?
Well, 4's the one we're tweaking. The school shall provide for parents or guardians to have their child excused from a topic which may be contrary to their religious or moral values. This shall be done in writing by the parent or guardian.
Period.
Period.
And take out the writing. This shall be done in writing. I don't think it should have to be in writing.
The law says it has to be.
Oh, it does?
right.
That's in law?
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
The student may also request to be excused if the student personally finds the topic to be contrary to their religious or moral values. If the student is unable to verbally articulate this to the teacher, the student may make this request in writing regarding the conflict. The student must explain in writing the nature of the conflict.
No.
Teacher will provide an alternative assignment if the request is approved by the teacher.
No, they do not have to explain anything. They simply have to say, I opt into this, or
Right.
Michelle, I think you do need to leave in the teacher will provide an alternate assignment.
But it can't be if it's approved, right?
Right, no,
Okay.
just that one part.
So here we should probably just,
Cause we had that situation this summer with my kid, remember?
Oh, right.
So, 33-1608, under courses of instruction, can we bring that one up?
Yes.
So that everybody can see it? 33-1608.
Family life and sex education legislative policy. Why did they strike this out? They took out all reference to sex education on this policy, just so you know, Ramona.
Yeah, of course they did. Well, so this is what it says. It says, the legislature of the state of Idaho believes that the primary responsibility for family life and sex education, including moral responsibility, rests upon the home and the church, and the schools can only complement and supplement those standards which are established in the family. The decision whether or not any program in family life and sex ed is to be introduced in the schools is a matter of determination at the local district level by the local school board of duly selected representatives of the people of the community. If such program is adopted, so we do not have to teach sex ed, period,
Right.
zilch. If the board decides to adopt a program, this is what we have to do. Major emphasis in the program should be to assist the home in giving them the knowledge and appreciation of the important place the family holds in the social system of our culture, its place in the family, and the responsibility, which will be there much later when they establish their own families. So bringing everything back to the family. So they've talked about the family unit. Program should supplement the work in the home and the church in giving youth the scientific, physiological information for understanding sex and its relation to the miracle of life, including the knowledge of the power of sex drive and the necessity of controlling that drive by self-discipline. The program should focus upon helping youth acquire a background of ideals and standards and attitudes which will be of value to him now and later when he chooses a mate and establishes his own family.
Ooh, I'm
That's
surprised
what the law
the
says.
pronouns are allowed.
Yeah. So,
But what does IDAPA say? Do you know?
IDAPA says that we have to, it just has the standards
It has
in
the
there.
standards
Okay.
listed.
Yep, and the standards are,
I don't feel like this standard supersede that,
That it should not.
right?
No.
What's law trumps it? Idaho, rules.
Well, that's for you. Rules that govern.
It's the
Idaho
rules.
Administrative Code.
Administrative code, thank you. Used to know that.
So here's
Yeah,
all
they're
the
in there,
Idaho, so you can do, this is where you find the Idaho Office of Administrative Rules Coordinator, and here's governing.
And the only reason I'm asking is because we got
So I
kind of
definitely
bamboozled
install
and pushed when we
education
did this
services, what
the
Idaho
first go
law says.
round
Which is
because of
found out these are
IDAPA.
the three
But
guidelines
IDAPA says
governing
blah, blah,
the
blah.
during this.
no, because so the IDAPA,
Rules that govern, and we're,
It
like,
says
from
zero
zero
to
to
district
Okay, so it'll tell you what,
Can?
this is all the stuff it'll show you.
Spirit Lake.
Okay, so from the state.
What?
I have the state.
Spirit Lake Elementary, fingerprint for
So
school
where
lunches.
it says, it's from the state board.
Wait a minute, where did that come
Education,
from?
so
I-
it's their
oh my
education.
God.
Spirit Lake Elementary?
They're fingerprinting for
Students
school
for
lunch.
lunch?
Yes, and I literally had a meltdown and
It was community legislation.
Miss Price and I.
You're mad they don't do retina scans too?
I said, you did not notify any parents of biometrics. I said no to this, and then you took my child, and she appeals to authority, and she did it anyway. Of course, she will no longer do that ever again.
did we approve
We
that?
never approved that.
What are we
They're
doing?
fingerprinting students up at Spirit Lake for lunches?
Yep, it's the coding, they just stick their finger on it, and then we've done it for a while. Like,
Yeah.
You didn't inform parents though.
I mean, when it originally happened, we did, but we've been doing it for, a while. It's
It
just
didn't
part of-
happen last year though.
So it's a
Because everything was
fingerprint
free,
reader.
it didn't happen for 2 years because it was all free.
That's a fingerprint reader.
So all your new students, all of the
Mhm.
new parents are not happy.
Okay, yeah, cause we didn't do it with free and reduced, cause everybody just got, for 2 years that everything was free, so they just got food. But it's the way that they just, what's on your, Monday account for Kevin, so.
Yeah, that's a
Do you
discussion.
want me to follow up with Lisa on that?
Yeah. We might wanna find out when it was implemented. We might wanna find out why
How
we
the
don't
board
have.
approved it.
Yeah, how the board approved it and why we don't have a policy
I-
governing it.
I wanna say it happened before you guys started, but I honestly can't remember. We didn't do it for the 2 years, that everything was free, cause whoever
Well,
went
I'm-
through, yeah.
I would,
Well,
I
I
would
wanna
probably
say it
guess
was like
100% it was before
5
you were on.
years, even before, I mean, it's been a while.
Because we got on in January 2020 and
Yeah.
COVID in
I wanna
March.
say it was my first or second year when I started as the principal. I think that's
Okay.
when we started it, but I'll follow up.
That would be a good thing to know, and at least have some governance.
So there
over it.
wasn't any guidance with the new, okay.
I mean, you go in for open house and the lunch lady says, oh, let's scan her finger for
Yeah.
lunch, and I go, she brings her lunch, I promise she will not eat a thing in this cafeteria, we don't need to do this. And I am very low
Yeah.
footprint for my daughter online and hacking abilities. And then apparently they were like, oh, you don't have a fingerprint, we need to fingerprint you. And so she's like, dude, and I'm like, no. I don't know how this is stored. So I don't know how it's stored, I don't know how it's
It's just in
checked.
the system, it's just the school lunch system, that's the only thing, like I can't even access any of that information, it's just, and
Can't
what's
be
your,
hacked.
Yeah, is it air gapped is the
what
question?
what your balance is.
Is it can't be hacked?
I can't answer that.
I would
That's
say
the
yes.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have that,
I'll follow up with Lisa.
Yeah.
She can give me I can't remember when it was started.
Well, the board didn't know it was happening,
Mhm.
and I think that that's important for them to know.
I'm gonna just look and see if we have I still have our old administrative guidelines. I'm gonna look and see if it's in there.
Ramona, did you look at 331609 as far as what sex education?
yes, the
Okay.
definition, yep, do we wanna read that too? Yep, sex education for the purpose of this act is defined as a study of the anatomy and physiology of human reproduction. I was trying to find, I had all those links, but I turned in my laptop,
Oh yeah, you got a bigger machine.
yeah,
Where'd
well,
you
this
go?
one's mine.
Oh.
Yeah, I said, thank you, but I'm good for the other one. Cause I had those and I had the standards and I had the ADAPA, but, basically it was very high level, typical what you would think of sex ed was more of a health unit kind of study.
I think we should leave the code of that listed. I don't see why we have to take it off.
Yeah, I was confused why these were crossed out.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. And where are those, oh, in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 and 5. I think 5 we can look at it, 1605, because this is sort of what this is more what, I remember like the IDAPA rule and even the health standards. And this is health and physical fitness, which, looks at the effects of alcohol, tobacco, stimulants, narcotics. There should be, in all school districts, there should be instruction in health and physical fitness, including the effects of alcohol, stimulants, tobacco, and narcotics on the human system. You know, the Board of Education shall cause to be prepared such study guides, material reference lists, blah, 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 blah. And that's what I remember in reading the standard and IDAPA rule, that it was more like, this is your body, this is how your body works kind of thing, and you know, more, definitely no gender, no abortion, no,
Are you talking specific to the standards?
yeah, I was gonna say birth control, but I might be mistaken on that for the older grades. Seems like there was some wording, but I don't remember exactly what it was, I don't remember. But anyways, it was seemingly innocuous, you know, from what I remember. Because I did compare all of them according to, you know, what the statute says. And it's like, well, you could still teach basic health.
Yeah, like, so here is by the end of 5th grade, so this is the goal of one of the health standards. Students will comprehend core concepts related to health promotion and disease prevention to enhance health, including alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, nutrition, physical injury prevention, mental, emotional, and social health, prevention and control of disease, consumer and community health, growth, development, and family life, and environmental health. So the way that it's broken down is, like, by the end of 5th grade, so this is a 5th grade standard, describe the relationship between healthy behaviors and personal health, identify examples of emotional, intellectual, physical, and social health, describe ways in which a safe and healthy school and community environment can promote personal health, describe ways to prevent common childhood injuries and health problems, and it says example, secondhand smoke, vapors from vaping, describe when it's important to seek health care, so.
And all of that, I think, you know, although it could be broad and, you know, I guess somebody could slip something in there, I think there again comes back to the community and the board and all that, you know, everybody coming together to make sure that we're choosing curriculum that teaches you to meet the standard, but that, you know, keeps with, just like the sex ed statute says, you know, whatever the family and the church goals are that are set in that household. So, it's definitely not a free-for-all.
When now even supplemental and library books are being approved,
Yep.
so.
Oh yeah, these are the graduation requirements, yeah. Yeah, that's what I remember, they were pretty, no, that's one of them does that, but yeah, it's pretty vague, like it's not as definitive as everybody tries to project. From what I remember, you know, it's pretty.
Yeah, I think that one on CPR. It mentions that, that's it.
No, what grade is this?
I just know I sent it out to that many people that signed up.
Yes.
But we don't consistently have that much feedback.
So grade 6 through 8, when it comes to health curriculum and all that, I guess we need to be a little bit more aware, because it definitely lists in the standard. And depending on how this is interpreted, healthy relationships and sexuality, consequences of sexual activity. But it does say the encouragement of abstinence from sexual activity, sexually transmitted diseases, and the methods of disease and pregnancy prevention. But we, and we could state this somewhere too, if people want that, we did ask at one point if any of the schools taught abortion as a means of
Birth control.
yeah, or just as an option, and we were told no, so we didn't put it in the policy, because nobody was.
Do you want me to read the part, we're kind of all over the place, but specific to the health standards around the prevention and control of disease, the sexual part? The standard says individuals have a considerable measure of control over their own health and the change of contracting most illnesses. Health-related choices and decisions regarding prevention of communicable and non-communicable diseases include recognizing risk factors, identifying methods of contraction and transmission, and using universal precaution. Information and discussion of sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, should be factual, medically accurate, and objective. So that's 9th through 12th grade, and that's the only place I can find this standard. It does say that stages of life, changes in relationships, social acceptance of self and others, happy relationships and sexuality, consequences of sexual activity, encouraging abstinence, sexually transmitted diseases. So.
Well, that's what I was just saying, these guys, I think that goes back to the curriculum we're picking.
Right.
You know, and being aware of the speakers that are coming to our schools and things like that. You know, I think everybody does a really good job.
We created a checklist of certain standards that we felt, or certain policies that we felt like were super important for sure to, like this kind of stuff, like your daily practice needs to be impacted, the movie policy, that kind of stuff. So like a checklist where they have to sign off that they actually, so it's not just we know we showed it to you, like you actually have to have read it and signed off on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, which one are you on, Michelle?
Oh, I'm just cruising along doing my own thing. Okay, so if you go back up to 2. Okay, oops, scroll back down. There we are. The board shall provide for parents or guardians to have their child excused from a topic which may be contrary to their religious beliefs or moral values. This shall be done in writing by the parent or guardian. The student, we already went through all that one, okay. The teacher shall notify parents or guardians when controversial issues may be discussed. And then I took everything else out. After receiving notice of the controversial issue, parents may have their child excused for religious beliefs or moral values.
Where's that at?
Number 3.
Can we go back up to number 2?
Yeah.
They don't have to.
They don't have to have a religious belief or moral
No.
value according to the statute.
Right, yeah, so they don't, and I don't wanna put, I know one of my children at Athol Elementary, eons ago, it was around Halloween and we don't do Halloween, and there was a song that they were trying to get my child to sing, and my child did not wanna sing the song, and asked to the point of crying and was still forced to sing the song. So if the child comes to the teacher or anybody and says, I don't want to participate, they shouldn't have to participate. And they shouldn't have to, especially a kid doesn't have to explain, they would already feel freaky talking to an adult about why they don't want to do it.
Right.
And yeah, and the statute doesn't say that, you don't.
Right.
And it could have nothing to do with religious or moral values, maybe they
Yes,
just.
so maybe just excused from a controversial topic, period.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, but let's see here. This is controversial issue, so why are we identifying it as a topic? Because then the next paragraph identifies it as a controversial issue.
Oh, okay, so
So I don't know what we're. I gotta go back. My head's
Just so
lost.
that they can, be excused.
But this policy is specific to controversial issues
Right.
and academic protection, because I did change the title.
Because, a kid can decide, I don't like division and I don't wanna do it, that, they can't, they have to do it. Now, the method or delivery of the output that we ask of them, we could differentiate for them, but they don't get to not do division.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of crucial.
And I don't think their parent would back them for that.
Right.
I would hope not anyway.
I don't think there's a Calvin Hobbes script on that video.
Right, Calvin
As a math atheist,
definitely
I don't believe in math.
object.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna say it.
so that would be
You're
the
gonna want that next sentence.
catch all then for those
Right.
ones,
Right.
yeah,
And those are way outliers.
right.
Yep.
Would you not, yeah, the schools provider parents grade 7 shall excuse from my not state mandated topic or something.
Mine is first division, I don't know if it just
Parents
popped
may
in my
have
head.
the child excused, and a teacher will provide an alternative assignment. Students may request to be excused. Okay, this whole, all questionable materials and controversial issues shall be approved by the principal prior to instruction. Questionable materials and controversial issues shall be considered topics not contained within the curriculum approved by the board.
Yeah, I think the whole thing can cross out.
Okay, but where are we telling them where?
We don't have any curriculum that they can use that's not approved by the board.
Oh,
How?
They're looking for a list of what's questionable and controversial is what
Right.
it is. I mean, you would have to have one in order to be approved. What were you gonna say, Lynn? Sorry.
No, I just.
And
And it says not contained within the curriculum approved by the board.
right, and we're approving curriculum and
Everything.
supplemental.
Right. So is it going back to the list at the very top where they said the relative topics? The politics, science, health, is that the list you're referencing?
Well, I don't know, or do we just leave it as a blanket statement and leave it up to the teacher's judgment to say, hey, is this controversial, or hey, I wanna teach this? I mean, I think most of them have a pretty good idea. And I do think the principal needs to be aware of it, because I think the one incident that happened, high school or junior high, wherever it was, the principal didn't even know.
Right, they didn't even
Correct.
know there was a guest speaker,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, I do think that the principal should be made aware of who's in the school, or what the instruction that might be controversial and questionable, but I don't know what those are.
But another, I mean, with respect to this policy and what occurred, I mean, there was controversial issues
Yeah.
discussed,
Yeah.
and nobody had the option to remove themselves.
Right.
And parents weren't told, hey, this is going on. So how do we put in our policy that can't ever happen again? Because it can't. I mean,
I just feel like we should not have an issue with questionable materials because everything's approved. So if people are using in that instance, there was a guest speaker that was bringing in materials, those
Okay.
materials should have been approved.
Right.
And so, I mean, one of the things that we suggested to everybody is in your syllabi or syllabus, however you wanna say it, when you send it out, if there's gonna be topics, that all of that is in that initial sent out to parents, and then these are the ones that are gonna be opt-in, and then if you have a speaker coming in, like there's just transparency and all of that, if they're bringing in material, all of that comes in well before you're ever having it done, so, I mean, if they bring something in, it's supposed to be approved.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think this policy addresses it, but we have the guest speaker policy, we have the curriculum, I mean, we have it in policy, it's just not
Okay.
necessarily, and then we would get back into now we're cross-referencing again, you know what I mean, but, there shouldn't be any material that in controversial issues is relative to the person,
Right, that's why we always
Yeah.
supply, you know, those things that are top notch that we know, that are opt-in, you can
Mhm.
always ask to be excused.
right.
You
Right.
know, I mean, we can only do so much, but yeah, I think that.
Right, but to your point, do kids have, what does current event discussions look like? Like, kids are gonna bring up things,
Sure.
and so, and that's where I think that one clause was, some of that will come up, and then, the teacher is guiding in that sense, but I think more often than not, they're, if it's an issue that they don't even wanna tackle, 'cause most of them don't wanna even go there.
Right.
And so they just, talk to your parents,
Yeah.
so.
Turn the discussion to something else. Yeah.
Because you can't, in this day and age, you can't control what's going to be said.
Right, no.
And sometimes it's more of the attention factor or the shock value versus
Yeah.
I really wanna have a discussion about this. Now I just wanna be,
Right.
kind of exploit whatever is going on, so.
Okay. So if we take all parents or guardians shall complete parental option form for sex education policy 2340F to either remove their child from any planned sex education instruction or include their child to participate in any planned sex education instruction. The board directs that a philosophy of abstinence shall be a part of and the underlying principle in all sex education instruction. Any parent or legal guardian may have his or her child excused from any planned sex education instruction upon filing a written request with the board.
That's redundant,
It,
Mhm.
to some degree,
huh? Okay.
because the statute is this statement right
Right.
here.
Right.
The form is just a requirement that we're saying we have to have for sex education. So, I don't know how we could potentially incorporate the statute language.
Put it in there as a quote. Copy and paste, we can italicize and put some quotes around it.
There we go. Because, okay, so,
As needs cleaning up, you guys did make me be the bad guy and say that I have to be the timer and watch, so we are at 7 o'clock.
you are correct.
Thank you.
I wanted someone else to have that job, though. I think you actually have
I think I did. Well, we could just make Google do that. Google, set a timer.
Alright.
I'm gonna take off, but you guys are welcome to stay.
Thank
I
you.
trust
Thank
everybody's
you.
highly confident.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
But, so then coming back to the next time we meet, we can finish this and then we'll look at the 2345, which is the speaker, and then the procedure specific to that, and then we looked at the opt-in form, and we can finalize those three. You guys are good with that? Michelle, are you good with that?
I'm sorry, I'm focused on
Oh,
this.
no, go
What?
ahead, finish.
No,
You're good.
I won't be able to finish. What?
I said next time we come back, we will finalize the opt-in form, we'll
Yeah.
finalize 2345,
Okay.
and then 2345P, because they all kind of go together.
Yeah, they do. Okay.
Did you guys have some ideas for me that would be forward you what I sent to Lisa. Yeah, it's a lot, that was
Consensus on the group, cause there's like 5 of us, I think, on that committee, and only 2 of us were doing it, cause it was like, everybody's at the same word, it's overwhelming, it's
About, do
overwhelming.
you break it apart, do you chunk it, then not really look at all?
Right, and that was a concern brought up with the curriculum committee too.
Well, but I have, one of those is okay, that's why, Oh, you're just consolidating everything.
I am trying to consolidate it, so,
Yeah, maybe I can have in my spare time somewhere, have all this information, maybe you can help with the 3281.
So the form has to be an opt-in and opt-out by law?
Is there some
No.
information?
Oh,
we
just
just
chose to
wanted
make
to
it
add
just
it.
one.
Oh, I just
Oh,
gathered a
yeah.
bunch of stuff to try
because,
and come up with it.
it's tradition that it's just an opt-out, and so if parents don't know because they didn't pull it out of the backpack or the student didn't give it to them because we are at the high school
Oh,
A
I see
level.
what you're saying, yeah.
So we're just making it that you have to
Make
have
sure
a
that
formal
parents
idea.
have
Yep,
notification.
Are we okay to stop recording?
yes.
Yes.